Now what we'd like to do is say hello to some of you. The way we're going to do that is using our camera.
Filmed it. I didn't think much of it, but of course, everyone was kind of chattering. There was over 50,000 people at the concert.
What was supposed to be a feel-good moment at a Coldplay concert turned into one of the most unexpected corporate scandals of the year. A single glance at the Jumbotron, and in less than 10 seconds, a billion-dollar CEO ducked for cover. A mystery woman vanished behind her hair, and the internet exploded. But this wasn't just a random couple caught on camera. This was the start of a viral unraveling that exposed way more than just a public display of affection. It exposed an entire double life. And the fallout? Let's just say it ended with a resignation, a company crisis, and a stadium full of people left in total disbelief. Coldplay concerts are known for a lot of things: glowing wristbands, stunning visuals, and emotional sing-alongs. But no one expected this kind of drama to unfold on a warm July evening in Massachusetts.
Tech CEO Andy Byron has resigned as the Chief Executive Officer of Astronomer. Now,
it was July 16th, and Gillette Stadium was packed with tens of thousands of fans. The band had just wrapped another hit, and the energy in the crowd was electric. Then came the lighthearted tradition that usually brings nothing but laughs and awes: the kiss cam. The audience, hyped and happy, turned toward the giant screen to see which couple would be next. For a few seconds, nothing seemed unusual. Just another cheerful pan across smiling fans, some waving, some shyly leaning in for a kiss. And then, boom, the camera landed on them. At first glance, it looked like any affectionate couple. A man and a woman sitting intimately close, his arm around her shoulders, their heads nearly touching.
The thing, the kiss cam is only supposed to be for the enjoyment of the people at the game. They never show that on TV.
But something shifted the instant they saw themselves on the big screen. The crowd saw it. You could feel it. The woman flinched, froze, and within a split second, whipped her head away from the camera. She pulled her hair down over her face, visibly distressed. But the man, his reaction was even more dramatic. In an almost comical flash, he ducked straight out of the frame, dropping so fast and low you'd think he vanished into thin air. The stadium roared with laughter. It looked like a goofy couple who'd gotten camera shy. Harmless, right? But not quite. Because within minutes, screenshots of the awkward moment started surfacing on social media. And that's when things got weird.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what?
It didn't take long before internet sleuths, armed with HD video and LinkedIn profiles, pieced it together. The man who dove out of the frame wasn't just any random concert goer. He was Andy Byron, CEO of a growing tech company called Astronomer. And the woman? Allegedly, Kristen Cabot, the company's head of human resources. In other words, the man responsible for setting the company's direction and the woman responsible for enforcing its code of conduct were caught snuggled up on camera in a moment they clearly never intended to be seen. That's when the laughter stopped. Almost overnight, what started as a stadium gag turned into a viral expose. Memes popped up. Theories flew. Was this a date? An affair? Were they both married?
No way! I just found the CEO of Astronomer's job posting 12 hours ago. Oh my God. It had.
As the video racked up millions of views across TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, the context became clearer and more damning. This wasn't just a kiss cam fail, it was a corporate grenade. And it had just been live broadcast to 60,000 people and the entire internet. For Chris Martin, this was just another night on tour. Another sold-out stadium, another joyful crowd, another playful tradition. Coldplay's Music of the Spheres tour had already captivated fans across continents with its celestial visuals and interactive charm. And part of that charm? The kiss cam. By now, it was a signature interlude, a brief breather in the show where lighthearted romance filled the screen while Chris and the band got ready for the next emotional crescendo.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what?
He'd seen it 100 times. Awkward smiles, sweet kisses, goofy waves. But that night in Massachusetts, something felt off. From his perch on stage, Chris watched the footage on the Jumbotron like everyone else. He saw the couple, the man ducking, the woman shielding her face. The crowd around them laughed, clearly entertained. Chris, being the ever-charismatic frontman, leaned into the awkwardness. What else was he supposed to do? Ignore it? With his signature grin and easy delivery, he spoke into the mic. Either they're having an affair or they're just really shy. The audience howled. On the surface, it was a perfect throwaway joke. Funny, timed well, harmless. But the internet doesn't do harmless.
CEO's son has spoken out, and he's not defending his father. He's given up all the dirt. He said his mother is all.
Unknowingly, Chris had just handed the world the storyline it didn't know it was craving. Because in that moment, with one clever line, he'd framed the entire scene in a way no one could unhear. Suddenly, it wasn't just a camera-shy couple, it was a secret, a scandal, a drama playing out in real time, and Chris had written the first line of the script. Within minutes, clips of the moment began flooding social media. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, every platform had it. The grainy footage, the stunned couple, Chris's now infamous line. People started captioning it, remixing it, speculating wildly. The mystery was too juicy to resist. Who were they? Why did they panic? Was Chris right?
Here's what happened to Andy Byron after he was caught in an intimate embrace with his colleague. On July 16th, 2025 at a
And then came the breakthrough, a close-up, a reverse image search, a LinkedIn profile. It didn't take long for digital sleuths to zero in. The man caught in the viral video wasn't just any shy guy. He was Andy Byron, CEO of Astronomer, a rising force in the AI and data infrastructure space. And the woman, allegedly Kristen Cabot, the company's head of human resources. That's when things escalated fast. Because now the footage wasn't just a funny moment, it was evidence. Chris's lighthearted jab had been turned into a quote of consequence. It was reposted by news outlets, reaction channels, and gossip blogs. Suddenly, the comment wasn't funny anymore. It was viral verification.
Did you notice Kristen Cabot using her arm to push that young woman? She's Alyssa Stoddard, and she received $500,000.
What Chris Martin had meant as a playful quip had inadvertently validated what people were already thinking. This wasn't just awkward, it was exposed. And the fallout didn't stop there. That single joke became the pull quote for headlines across the world. Chris Martin jokes about affair on stage. CEO identified hours later. Coldplay's Kiss. Cam may have just derailed a tech CEO's career. By the time the show ended, the internet had already decided. This was no accident, and that moment, that joke, had lit the fuse on a story no one could stop. Even Chris seemed to realize the weight of what had just happened.
That didn't take long because the Astronomer CEO resigned over the weekend. Here's what I think is going to happen next. These were my predictions what the company is going to do, and it seems like we're...
According to several fans, he later paused and softly added, "Oh, I hope we didn't do something bad." But by then, it was too late. The cameras were rolling, the internet was watching, and history was already writing itself. By the time Chris Martin walked off stage, the internet had already turned the kiss cam moment into a full-blown investigation. Within an hour of the concert ending, the footage was everywhere. TikTok videos replayed the moment in slow motion. Twitter exploded with side-by-side images, meme captions, and wild guesses about the mystery couple's identity. Reddit threads popped up like wildfire, some asking if the clip was staged, others speculating if this was a married man caught red-handed.
Andy Byron speaks out on Coldplay concert affair. Imagine cheating on your wife, getting exposed by...
But the internet doesn't wait for facts. It builds its own. It didn't take long before digital detectives connected the dots. A blurry freeze frame of the man ducking matched. A LinkedIn profile of Andy Byron, CEO of Astronomer, matched again. And once his name was linked to the video, things escalated fast. People began digging into the company. Who was he with? Why was he so panicked? Comment sections across platforms turned into amateur courtrooms. And then someone dropped a bombshell. The woman beside him might be Kristen Cabot, the company's own head of HR. Two executives, same company, public display, viral meltdown. The internet ran with it. Memes poured in by the hour.
Did you notice Kristen Cabot's strange expression? She's actually the one behind the affair scandal. If you look closely at how Andy Byron is hugging her.
One showed the couple hiding under a Coldplay lyric. Nobody said it was easy. Another replaced Andy's head with the Coldplay globe logo spinning away into space. Twitter users joked that Astronomer's next product better help people hide from cameras. Even YouTube creators jumped in. Reaction videos, parody sketches, TikTok breakdowns with dramatic music and red circles around the couple's faces. Some users turned it into a moral debate. Others laughed it off as kiss cam karma. But the real damage? It was happening in boardrooms, not comment sections. By the next morning, Astronomer's name was trending for all the wrong reasons. Not because of their AI product, not because of a funding round, but because their CEO had become a meme.
Less than 24 hours after Andy Byron was suspended, no one noticed that his lover, Kristen Cabot, did something that made Megan Cregan
a symbol, a cautionary tale. In less than 24 hours, Andy Byron went from tech executive to viral punchline. And worse, it was just getting started. By the time Monday morning rolled around, Astronomer was in full damage control mode. What started as a lighthearted concert moment had now escalated into a full-scale corporate crisis. Internally, the team was stunned. Externally, the headlines were relentless. Investors were calling. Employees were demanding answers. Clients were quietly panicking. The company, once hailed as a rising star in the data infrastructure space, was now trending on Twitter next to memes of a CEO diving into a stadium seat.
Who's Andy Byron's true love? At a recent Coldplay concert, Andy Byron, CEO of the tech company Astronomer, was...
And when the dust didn't settle by sunrise, the board knew they had to act. First came the official statement, carefully worded, strategically vague. Astronomer is committed to the values and culture that have guided us since our founding. Our leaders are expected to set the standard in both conduct and accountability. What it really meant was this. We saw the video too, and we know we can't ignore it. In a matter of hours, an internal investigation was launched. Not because of internet pressure, at least not publicly, but because the couple in question weren't just coworkers. They were executives holding roles that demanded leadership, trust, and above all, discretion.
The biggest misconception I'm seeing about the Astronomer CEO scandal is that his wife, Megan Kerrigan, is going to take him for everything because he got caught cheating.
One of them ran the entire company. The other was tasked with enforcing the rules. Suddenly, HR policies weren't just guidelines. They were evidence. Questions started flying. Was this relationship consensual? Was it disclosed? Was favoritism involved? Were company resources ever misused? To make matters worse, the internet wasn't waiting for answers. Rumors exploded. Screenshots of internal Slack messages were leaked. Unverified DMS from alleged employees began circulating. People began speculating about when the relationship started, who else at the company knew, and what this said about the culture inside Astronomer. Behind closed doors, sources say the mood turned grim.
3 details suggest Andy Byron's affair exposure wasn't an accident, but a trap set by his wife.
Some staff reportedly felt betrayed. Others feared for the company's reputation. One employee anonymously posted that they couldn't believe our CEO became a meme before our next product launch. But as messy as it was, one thing was clear. The story had already outgrown the company. This wasn't just a PR nightmare, it was a full-blown leadership collapse. Astronomer had 2 choices: clean house quietly or make a public stand. They chose the latter. Within days, Andy Byron was placed on administrative leave. The company froze internal access to his credentials and scrubbed mentions of him from upcoming press materials. Meanwhile, Kristen Cabot, though not named in public statements, was quietly removed from several active leadership chains.
Andy Byron breaks down after wife divorces him for Coldplay concert affair. He lost his wife, his job, and now...
Internally, whispers turned into ultimatums. Staff wanted answers, partners wanted distance. And the board, they were already preparing for the next step. Because what was coming next wasn't just a resignation. It was the unraveling of everything. 4 days after the kiss cam clip went viral, the silence broke. Up until then, the only noises coming from Astronomer were generic PR statements. Safe, sterile, and clearly vetted. But now the pressure was too loud to ignore. With memes still circling like vultures and public trust crumbling, the company's leadership made their move. July 19th, just before noon, Astronomer issued its sharpest statement yet. Andy Byron has tendered his resignation and the board of directors has accepted.
Why is Andy Byron's lover's best friend always smiling at the camera? No one realizes that she is the biggest winner. In the video of Andy and his lover,
Just like that, the man who had once been the face of one of the most promising AI infrastructure startups in the US was gone. No farewell post, no press conference, no soft landing. The resignation was swift, final, and strategically cold. But the message behind it couldn't have been clearer. This wasn't just bad optics. This was a breach of trust. The same statement announced that co-founder and chief product officer Pete DeJoy would step in as interim CEO, and that a full executive search would begin immediately. The board emphasized its commitment to integrity and leadership accountability. But to the public, it was obvious.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what?
They were scrambling to regain control of a narrative that had spiraled far beyond anything they anticipated. Still, questions remained. Had Andy spoken publicly? Was there a formal apology? Were the rumors about a relationship with a subordinate confirmed? That's when things took an even weirder turn. A supposed screenshot of a resignation letter started circulating online. A lengthy paragraph from Byron apologizing for deeply personal mistakes and asking for privacy. The message was raw, emotional, and completely fake. Astronomer quickly responded with a rare, blunt correction. Andy Byron has not put out any statement. Reports saying otherwise are incorrect. That one line confirmed what many suspected.
An update on the Coldplay concert affair. This is Andy Byron, the CEO of the data company Astronomer, and Kristen Cabot.
Byron had gone completely dark. No interview, no social post, no final words to his team. Just a swift exit behind corporate doors. Some say it was damage control. Others believe lawyers were involved. But whatever the reason, the silence said more than words ever could. He wasn't coming back. As for Kristen Cabot, her name was never mentioned in any official release. But eagle-eyed observers noticed her title disappearing from the company's website and her LinkedIn activity, suddenly frozen. Internally, sources claimed that both executives had been quietly removed from Slack and internal meetings and all forward-facing materials.
Okay, I wanted to come on and I don't really have an opinion, but I have an opinion on this situation.
One anonymous employee called it a full wipe, like the company was trying to delete the scandal out of existence. But outside the walls of Astronomer, it was already too late. The video, the joke, the memes, the downfall, it was all permanent, immortalized in internet culture. The CEO had resigned, the narrative had flipped, and the damage already done. The resignation might have ended the corporate chapter, but the personal fallout was just beginning. In the days following Andy Byron's departure from Astronomer, the internet shifted its gaze to something even more invasive: his private life. And what it found only added fuel to the fire. Within hours of the announcement, sleuths uncovered that Andy had been married for nearly a decade.
Did you notice Kristen Cabot's strange expression? She's actually the one behind the affair scandal. If you look closely at how Andy Byron is hugging her.
Photos of his family, once innocuous and buried in forgotten Facebook albums, were now being shared across Reddit threads and Discord servers like digital artifacts of a hidden past. The narrative wasn't just about workplace misconduct anymore. It was about betrayal, broken vows, and a double life exposed by a stadium screen. And then came the moment that confirmed what many suspected. Andy's wife quietly removed his last name from her social media handles. No public statement, no cryptic post, just a quiet rebranding, a signal that something had fractured beyond repair. But she wasn't the only one caught in the crosshairs. Attention soon turned to the woman seen beside Andy in the video.
Attracted by their magical tunes. Call HR, they'll know what to do. Ooh, about that.
Kristen Cabot, alleged head of HR at Astronomer. Internet sleuths dug into her background and uncovered a surprising detail. Kristen wasn't just a senior executive. She was reportedly married as well. And not just to anyone. Rumors swirled that her husband was part of the Cabot family, one of Boston's oldest and wealthiest lineages. Suddenly, this wasn't just a tech scandal. It was a high society implosion. Tabloids jumped in. Gossip blogs began tracing the family tree. Speculation spread that Kristen's in-laws were quietly distancing themselves from this situation, and several local publications claimed she'd been temporarily relocated out of state. No confirmations, of course, but the story had taken on a life of its own.
Finally, final LY.
Meanwhile, pop culture couldn't help but chime in. Country music star Morgan Wallen referenced the incident jokingly at his own concert. "I'll keep my arms to myself before I end up on TMZ like that Coldplay guy." Even comedy writers on late-night TV couldn't resist. A segment on The Tonight Show featured a spoof where fake CEOs tried to hide behind popcorn buckets whenever a kiss cam rolled around. But for those at the center of the chaos, the attention was no longer funny. It was relentless. One anonymous former coworker shared in a viral Medium post that the scandal had ruined the integrity of the workplace. Others noted that even those uninvolved were being harassed online.
And immediately, other people took their spot, woo! After a couple days, he makes a statement, a very brief apology. Then he goes,
Friends, mutual connections, even interns who simply worked at Astronomer were getting DMs asking for insider dirt. And yet, through all the noise, no one involved said a word. No press conference, no social media rebuttal, just silence. But that silence, it only made the story louder. What had started as a moment of surprise on a Jumbotron had now unraveled lives, careers, and reputations. And as the dust barely began to settle, one question lingered in the minds of everyone watching. Was the fallout really over? Or was this just the beginning? By the time Coldplay's tour rolled into Wisconsin on July 19th, the scandal had already reached full boil. Astronomer's CEO was out.
Officer of a different software company where he hired a lot of hardworking, great people with high hopes for their careers by promising.
Speculation was rampant. Memes were multiplying by the second. And in the middle of it all, Chris Martin. He could have ignored it, played the next show like nothing had happened, skipped the kiss cam entirely and let the moment fade into memory. But Chris didn't run from it. Instead, he did something smarter. He leaned into the chaos, just enough to acknowledge it without ever naming names. Standing on stage at Camp Randall Stadium, he smiled out into the crowd, mic in hand, eyes sparkling with mischief. As the familiar moment approached, the part of the show where the band uses live cameras to highlight fans in the audience, Chris made sure to set the tone. We'd like to say hello to some of you in the crowd. How we're going to do that is we're going to use our cameras and put some of you on the big screen.
Photographers pick out eye-catching couples so tradition fans know well. If the couple were in a legitimate relationship, they wouldn't be so panicked. On the same.
He paused, letting the crowd soak it in. Everyone knew what was coming. So please, he added with a sly grin, if you haven't done your makeup, do your makeup now. The audience erupted, not because of the joke itself, but because of what it represented. This was Chris's mic drop moment. A clever wink at the scandal, delivered with grace, humor, and just enough subtlety to avoid controversy. There was no mention of the CEO, no reference to the viral video, just a perfectly timed comment that let the audience in on the inside joke, while also reminding everyone that the band was watching. But beneath the humor, there was an edge of caution.
Okay, we're not gonna get busted. There's so many people, okay? What are the chances? What are the chances? It was just a call.
The message was clear. This moment might be fun, but it's also powerful. In the age of social media, a single frame can change lives. A laugh can spark a headline. A kiss can bring down a CEO. It was a subtle pivot in tone, a warning cloaked in charm. Some fans interpreted the moment as redemption, Chris reclaiming control of a narrative that had spiraled beyond him. Others saw it as closure, the last word in a saga he never meant to start. Either way, it worked. The crowd loved it, the internet clipped it, and Coldplay, they moved on. With a quiet reminder that sometimes even the most playful moments have the power to ripple far beyond the music.
Andy Byron ducking down to hide wasn't enough. Right next to him, Astronomer's senior HR director, Alyssa Stoddard, was seen laughing.
On the surface, it was just another funny concert clip. A man gets caught on camera. A woman turns away. A rock star makes a cheeky joke. The crowd laughs. The band plays on. But beneath the laughs and the memes, this moment struck a nerve because it wasn't really about the kiss cam. It was about how fast reputations can collapse in the public eye and how technology, timing, and attention have become a volatile mix in today's hyper-connected world. Think about it. 1 second, Andy Byron was just another CEO enjoying a night out. The next, he was the subject of a global scandal, his career in ruins. Not because of a lawsuit or a press expose, but because of a stadium camera and a well-timed joke.
Did you notice the woman with the biggest smile? 3 clues reveal Andy Byron's affair wasn't just a scandal. It was a trap set by his wife. At a Coldplay concert, civilian...
No one hacked his emails. No one leaked private files. He simply got caught being real, in public, at the wrong time. And that's what made it stick. Because in a world where every moment is potentially viral, the line between public and private no longer exists. What used to be an awkward moment shared between 2 people is now content. Shared, clipped, captioned, dissected, and re-uploaded before the moment even ends. This wasn't just a takedown, it was a mirror. It reflected how corporate culture intersects with human failure, how relationships inside the workplace still carry real risk, and how the internet no longer needs proof. It only needs a clip. It raised bigger questions too.
And then done like a little dance, like maybe did like the Ashley Simpson hoedown from SNL and like danced it out and just kind of...
Should companies have clearer policies around relationships and leadership? Should we rethink how quickly we rush to judgment based on what we think we see? And most importantly, what does accountability look like in a world where viral exposure moves faster than due process? For Astronomer, the fallout was immediate. Leadership reshuffled, reputations shattered, trust questioned. But for everyone watching, from tech founders to social media users to the fans in that stadium, it was something else entirely. It was a warning that in the age of cameras everywhere and context nowhere, a single unscripted moment can tell a story you never meant to share.
Out, looking a little too close for coworkers. Then the Jumbotron zooms in, and they both freak out, like...
And once it's out there, there's no taking it back. One flash of the camera, one impulsive reaction, one perfectly timed joke. That's all it took to flip an entire career upside down. A CEO resigned, a company spiraled, personal lives were fractured, and all of it unfolded in real time under the glow of stadium lights and the endless gaze of the internet. But here's the part that sticks. No one said a word. No public defense. No emotional apology. No interviews or clarifications. Just silence. And in that silence, we were left to wonder, was it guilt, shame, strategy, or something else entirely? The truth is, we may never know.
Here is that Andy Byron is married to someone other than Kristen Cabot, who, again, the irony of her being head of HR.
Because in today's world, the court of public opinion moves faster than fact. And once a narrative takes hold, once a joke becomes a headline and a viral video becomes your legacy, there's no press release strong enough to pull it back. So maybe the real story here isn't about a kiss cam at all. Maybe it's about how fragile privacy has become, how trust, power, and perception can be shattered in seconds, and how even at a Coldplay concert, surrounded by music, joy, and lights, no one is ever truly off camera. So the next time you're out in the crowd, laughing with friends, thinking the moment is yours alone, ask yourself this: if the camera landed on you, what story would the world tell?